Yeah, thanks, Drew.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Drew Grimaldi podcast. We have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Tom Evenstad, who is running for governor of Minnesota. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate you. So, we were just talking, and that's why I wanted to go live a little early. So you were saying that there is some lawfare that the higher ups in your state are trying to attack you with. What type of lawfare are we talking about? What are they doing?
Yeah, good morning, America. Good morning, Drew. Thank you for the opportunity. You've broken the cherry, the media blackout since August 14th when I announced for governor here in Minnesota. That's how frightened both sides are about my campaign. To answer your question, Drew, I announced on August 14th, started to reach into the party email list, just trying to get some kind of sense of maybe some help as an actual real outsider, unlike Kendall Qualls' mantra that he's an outsider. After reaching into the party, getting no response whatsoever, I drove out to my hometown, Edina, went into their headquarters, Drew, and was stunned to find out that there's really basically nobody home. Volunteer sheet was completely empty. There's nothing happening there at the headquarters. So I went out on social media, Twitter, X, I'm at Prison Reform. My secondary account is at Making a Rapist MN, because Minnesota made a rapist out of an innocent man, but we'll get to that. So the lawfare, Drew, is coming from both sides. It initially started from the gatekeepers, the Minnesota GOP, the Republican Party. Now, consider this, Drew. In Minnesota, these people, the Minnesota Republicans, have not been able to win a statewide election in nearly 30 years.
Since 2002, wasn't it?
Thank you. Yeah, 2002. It's been 24 years now.
Yep.
And back then it was probably Tim Pawlenty, somebody like that.
It was, yeah. I think it was. That was, yeah. Yep.
So I run for governor as an actual outsider, right? And then what happened was, after I discovered what I consider to be massive amounts of fraud from my own side, all they do is point at walls. All they do. Point at walls, point at walls, point at the Democrats. But common sense, which is what I'm running my campaign on, Drew, common sense tells me there's no possibility, $9 billion, let alone probably north of $20 billion here in fraud, that both sides. And so I've lived in Minnesota. Back, the Star and Tribune was talking about the Somalis and the money going to East Africa back in literally 2000. And then Tom Emmer is famously caught on his leaked audio in St. Cloud, shouting down the voters, telling them how un-American, how dare you, not even a pause in the Somalis flooding into our state. So the hypocrisy is absolutely incredible. Tom Emmer screaming all about walls and, the people in my party, Dameth, Speaker, Kendall Qualls, talking about how he's an outsider when he's been in bed with these people for the last two elections for a decade. He just can't win is the problem. And then Mike Lindell, another situation. But with the lawfare, what they did was they banned me. I was all set to go to this big shindig. Tom Hauser's the big chief political reporter up here at Fake News KSTP. So it was like finally my opportunity to break through back in November. So instead of them allowing me to go to the cool kids table and actually debate this out, American style, and then decide at the ballot box, what happened was a failed GOP operative, somebody named Michael Brodkorb. He was in the news about a decade ago. I never heard of this guy other than about a decade ago. He was apparently in some sleazy affair as a married man with another staffer who I won't name her just to be respectful. But so Brodkorb is some sleazy whatever. And so this guy put out a bunch of smears on me on his X platform. And honestly, he was basically just parroting the fake news, Drew, from 30 years ago. The articles about how I am a convicted sex offender, convicted rapist, when the truth is that I was trying to protect minors on these telephone sex lines. So like Joseph, I was in prison for a decade, innocent, for the horrible crime of a rape. So what the party has done is they've used lawfare to ban me. In Minnesota, we had felon voter right laws last year that were passed. Every single Republican was against them. because obviously none of these Republicans, Drew, have ever been thrown into jail or prison for something they did not do. And none of these Republicans on my side. And I do want to say one thing, Kristen Robbins, she's another rep that is always in the news. She's part of the fraud committees. She's been up there for 4 terms, Drew, looking the other way on the fraud, or more likely, her hands in that huge $20 billion slush fund that our state has had. So I don't buy that this is all the Democrats. It's both sides. Both sides are in this absolutely up to their eyeballs. So anyway, instead of them welcoming me as an outsider, trying to see what they could do to possibly help me, they banned me, they have shunned me, and these people, if you can even believe it, Drew, they will not help me with the 60 to 64% violence solution. My Violently Dangerous Persons Act, I brought this up to both sides at the state capitol here in Minnesota for a decade. Neither side are interested in public safety. Shocking as this will be to your viewers, law enforcement leadership, not rank and file, but the leadership, zero interest in public safety in my state, and then the media, politicians, and law enforcement. So I'm really, again, very grateful. My lawfare has recently gone to both sides, with Keith Ellison coming after me with his own harassment restraining order attempt. That was shot down by a Ramsey County judge. So
was that the threatening message or whatever one that they said that they tried to arrest you on was like a threatening message that you had sent or something?
No, thank you. That's my own party, the GOP. They claimed it was a threatening message. I could to you. They're not threatening. They're saying, to paraphrase, the voters and the public, they want to hear from me, the candidate. So please keep Alex Plekich, the chair, and the director, Jill Vucevic, on the sidelines. Please keep them away from the event tonight, because they had gone and gotten frivolous HROs against me where I never even had an opportunity to defend. They just made a bunch of lies up, brought it into a judge, and they got Walz-appointed judges to grant their lawfare HROs. And interestingly enough, my contesting of the chair is coming up on March 12th. So in 5 days, I'll finally have an opportunity since October, when Alex Plekich, the chairman of the Minnesota Republican Party, put out a memo banning me, saying you've been uninvited from that event on November 6th, Tom. If you show up Evenstad, if you show up at any Republican Party events during the entire election cycle, our staff is advised to tell you at the door to go home, and if you don't leave immediately, we'll call 911 on you. So eventually they used their lawfare and they managed to throw me in jail. 11 days I spent in jail calling up, Drew, several of the Minnesota Republican candidates to try to help them with my $200 bail. But no, they let my cat starve, and I did 11 days in jail over $200. But Ellison's was because he refuses to give me the same equal justice as guilty, gay, black, Muslim, child killer Mayan Burrell. He reached into Stillwater Prison, Drew, and he pulled out Mayan Burrell, a guilty child killer that was doing life.
Right. They release these people free and to reoffend.
Oh, yeah.
While the good guys are,
absolutely
stuck behind prison and they can't do anything,
Right. It's the revolving door, the same as the hypocrisy with J6, and then these people that are all these different protests all over the place, these paid agitators, they're Teflon. Like William Kelly, for example. I thought Kelly was in jail, right, from the church storming up here at the city's church. The next thing I know, he's released before, as I call it, the bologna sandwich. These people are released before the bologna sandwich even. They get booked in, they're out before they even get fed. And so I run into William Kelly at Whipple the other day, and he's quite a mess, Drew. But Ellison's lawfare, what he was doing is he tried to get like an HRO against me to prevent me from going to any of his campaign events outside public this summer and spring while he's running. Forget this. Ellison is running for a third term. And for his first
Do you think he'll win? Do you think he'll win?
In Minnesota here, he'll win. He'll either
That's crazy, especially with just letting all that fraud go for so long,
Yeah, and then Ellison will win because mainly, again, Alex Plekich is the chair. There's nobody on the Republican side.
Is the
challenging
Somali
him.
voting bloc seriously that big in Minnesota?
Some no name named Jim Schutz. No, I think it's fake news. It's a good sizable chunk, and they all go vote. I think it's about 80 to 100,000 Somalis, largely because of Tom Emmer again. You can talk about walls till the cows come home and the Democrats. Minnesota is in the mess it's in, not because of Walz and the Democrats. We're in the mess we're in because of both parties and a guy like Tom Emmer browbeating voters in St. Cloud, telling them once again, I've heard the audio. I've heard this guy's voice. He makes me sick, this bully up here. And then, Drew, when I got locked out of my own home in Andover by my landlords, I called up Tom's offices, Tom Emmer, all three of his offices, Washington, D.C., Otsego, wherever it is, talked to the people at length. And I explained, I am a direct constituent. I'm locked out of my home in Andover, Emmer's district, and Tom Emmer can't be bothered to even contact me regarding, my minimal lockout of my own home. I'm literally locked out of my own home since September 4th.
Wow.
So, and then on top of that, though, Drew, Violently Dangerous Persons Act that I talked about earlier, Grok says it's a 60 to 64% reduction in that revolving door that we're talking about because it laser targets the violent, dangerous criminals that are that are on the revolving door. That's who my bill removes, the actual worst of the worst.
So let me ask you this. So what are your thoughts on, CBP and immigration when they flooded the state? What were your thoughts on that?
Heavy-handed is my thoughts. At first I was, and my ex really shows the very sad, I guess, evolution of my thinking and what I've experienced. So at first I was all really super gung-ho. I was another Nick's order, couldn't cheer them on fast enough, come in and kick ass, get these illegals out of here, running on to literally get rid of all of the illegals initially. And then as I saw what was happening and what did happen, I saw what happened with Renee Good, and people can have their own opinions.
It didn't look good. It did not look good.
Jonathan Ross... No, I don't think it looked good at all. In the time the guy
we did save 3,354 kids that were lost during the Biden administration. So there was some good that came out of this.
There was some good that came out of it, but those numbers I challenge on their face. There's been nothing truthful that's come out of the spokespeople for these people. Look what they said about Alex Preddy. Look what they said about Good before there's really any kind of investigation.
Preddy did bring
whatsoever.
a gun to a protest. You got to give him. I mean, you just don't fucking do that. You know what I mean? But the Renee Good one, I think that was really bad. It just didn't look good.
It was terrible. Yeah, it's not advised to bring a gun to a protest, but I mean, this is America, and our country, Drew, was, I would remind you, built on guns and alcohol. And anybody that disputes that, our country was founded on guns and alcohol. So I'm a big Second Amendment guy, and I think being able to bring a weapon as long as he's within the law. But no, it was not a good idea, and it still should not have resulted in being shot down worse than Kristi Noem executed the puppy. I mean, this guy was literally, they disarmed him and then they executed him. So my views are, initially I was really super gung-ho. I'm like, yeah, get rid of all the Somalis. There's been no net positive that I can see whatsoever. It's all like
70 or 80% of them are on welfare, aren't they? Isn't that one of the statistics that the Somali community is?
It's a high number. Yeah, it's a really high number. Those statistics may be more, and believe me now, whether it's 3,400 children or it's 340, every single child, that's what I'm running my campaign on, Drew, so that the voters understand this. My campaign is about safeguarding children so that there's never another Annunciation, church, school massacre. My personal viewpoint is that this trans situation is totally out of control. I'm the first governor of the United States where I'm proposing zero tolerance for trans. Zero tolerance, meaning that I was at the medical cannabis hearings a decade ago, Drew, and I sat there and I watched law enforcement saying, you can leave our state, get out. Children that had epilepsy, parents, they told the people of Minnesota that needed medical cannabis, you can get the hell out. They said, go to a weed-friendly state. Move to Colorado.
Michigan. You can come to Michigan.
Yeah, thank you. And now finally we're legal now. I testified more than anybody in
its
our
own
state
problems
for
we can talk about, but
Oh, I love it myself. It's been a real wonderful thing for me, just like Governor Ventura and his wife Terry. So I've been a huge cannabis advocate since I was about 15.
I am too.
That's one of the huge rubs. Okay, thank you. That's one of the big rubs with the Republicans up here.
They don't like
Maybe
that.
we
They don't
get
like
together.
that. But I thought Trump would actually come out and legalize it at a federal level. So because I mean, you do have a lot of people that are going to jail in states for something that is truly a victimless crime, and it does technically impact communities with minorities more than it does others.
Yep, thank you. I mean, look, in the entire history of mankind, there is not one single provable instance of any person, any human being ever overdosing from cannabis. Right. The worst that can ever happen, I'd like to tell you, Drew, you're going to wind up at Taco Bell getting a few extra tacos more than you probably should, and then getting a really great night's sleep. And God forbid, in our country, God forbid, could we have a good rested populace?
Some people need more sleep than, they need a good night's sleep. Sleep that one
other
off,
than Joe Biden. Other than Sleepy Joe, I think you're exactly right. Yeah. But in all seriousness, though, with the levels of mental, and then another thing quickly, we're talking about the trans Drew. Have you seen this guy up here, Representative Lee Fink? Or Finky. It's a guy that's all dressed up like a woman.
Yes, I have seen that. The mental illness is strong with that one.
Oh, good Lord! When I went up Drew, when I went up to the Capitol a few years ago, right? And then he was my rep, so I communicated with this guy. And look, we're going for a whole new vibe. The Republicans are losing so many voters with their reefer madness 2.0. But I go up to the Capitol and I try to talk to this guy. It's a guy that I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. I played football and basketball at Edina. Okay, this guy, he's looking like he might be able to bench press me, his pipes. He's got tattoos and shit. This guy, lipstick, the whole makeup, the whole 9 yards. Anyway, so this guy has put forth bill after bill after bill that has been harming our children, mutilating, all kinds of. He's pushing trans so severely. And then you've seen now lately in the news, I think, where he came out and he said that he wants minors to be able to access Pornhub, and we know what categories he wants them in.
Right.
This is a sick individual.
Breeds. I mean, that's just grooming. I mean, that's what it is. It's grooming kids.
Extreme
that's what they
grooming,
want to do.
Pedophiles. Yeah,
100%.
This is pedophilia that's been normalized.
Yeah.
So where I'm tying this together is, look, when I went to the legislature and while I saw, again, law enforcement saying to the medical cannabis crowd, if a child needed some medical cannabis for epilepsy, you can get the hell out of our state. I'm saying to myself, okay, well, wait a minute now. When the Democrats, with zero resistance at all from Lisa Dameth, the speaker, Harry Niska's up there, Walter Hudson, on the other side, Senator Mark Johnson. Okay, these people have... According to the Democrats themselves, Drew, and you said you have a problem there when we were talking in the green room in Michigan with the rhinos there and a real lack of any real Republicans. Okay,
we have one of the weakest. We have one of the weakest GOPs in probably the country, and we really saw it because we had Tudor Dixon run against Gretchen Whitmer, and it was all about abortion, right? And my buddy was getting married, and we made a drinking game out of it at his bachelor party. Because every commercial was no exceptions, talking about abortion, no exceptions, no exceptions, no exceptions. We'd be like, no exceptions. So,
right.
But the point was that she got so much dark money from Back Blue, or what was it? The blue one that just funneled all the foreign donations into her campaign, that she out-campaigned. She just put tons of ads into it, and it was on everything. You wouldn't have even known who Tudor Dixon was if she, if she didn't get out there and actually campaign. I mean, but it was like 20 ads to maybe one. I mean, the money that was spent on that was nuts. Yeah, I agree.
And it turns Michigan blue. Yeah,
and it turns Michigan blue. And we're a state now where a lot of these guys in the unions are voting Republican.
Okay. You guys have always been red, purple, never blue.
Yeah. I mean, look what we did in 2024. We voted for Trump overwhelmingly. Yeah, the unions came out for him. So,
Yep, and I think we might have seen something different in that 2020 election, but of course the
Oh, that was
lights got
crazy.
shut off, and we all woke up in the morning, and 600,000 votes there, 400,000
Yeah.
here, but finally it looked like it was too big to rig this last time. Thank
Oh, it's
God.
way too big. Yeah, absolutely. You just saw,
Thanks
you
to
know,
Charlie Kirk and the youth vote. That
oh,
was
yeah.
huge.
And
Yeah,
God rest his soul. I fucking miss that guy.
amen. Yeah,
You
me
know,
too, man.
he
I missed
was,
meeting him by about 10 days.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I was going to go see him at the University of Minnesota, kickstart
Oh,
my campaign, meeting the man. And then, the news just took me to my knees. I never had a chance to meet him.
I've never met him personally, but let me tell you something. I was absolutely fucking devastated, and I was so hot under the collar. I was pissed. I mean, I want Tyler Robinson to get the death penalty because he deserves it. And they're already talking about taking it off the table. You've murdered somebody in cold blood for saying something
Yeah,
that you didn't agree with. And I think
I'm old
that is
school,
his
Drew.
legacy
I
is
think
free speech.
public executions, I'm old school.
100%.
I might be very wrong on this, but there's not enough deterrence anymore.
I agree.
There's just not enough deterrence. The criminal system, I was in it, like I told you, Drew. Think of this. I was in the criminal system for a decade, right? I was in every single Minnesota prison that we have for a decade after I rejected time served, go home, third degree assault, like I shoved you in a bar after we'd had an argument. I rejected third degree assault, time served, no sexual, nothing. My dad and I had a conversation, nearly 30 years ago that it is what it is. I love my dad, and I always trust my dad, and I trust in God. And we said to ourselves, Drew, get this, 2 years before 9/11, I looked over at my defense attorney, this, sleazy lawyer. Shakespeare had it right, joking around. When he's start with the lawyers, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I had this sleazy attorney named Fred Getz. Anyway, he tells me, here's the plea offer, Tom. You can go home. Time served. You sign on the dotted line. Yeah. Well, what do I need to, sign to? Assault, just a third degree assault, like you'd shoved me in a bar, Tom. So I went and talked to my dad. We had a big meeting, and I came back and I told the attorney, I didn't shove her, I didn't shove you, I didn't shove anybody. She consented. This is America. I'm not fucking being extorted. I'm not doing this. So
Right.
I looked over to my attorney when we went back in the courtroom, Drew, and I said, you can go tell Stu over there, the prosecuting attorney under Mary Moriarty's office. Now, it's Keith Ellison and Mary Moriarty. That's why I'm still, I'm a convicted rapist still because of Keith Ellison and Mary Moriarty.
What are the circumstances around this rape thing? Explain this to me.
Thank you. I was on a sex line. They were called telephone chat lines. It was not a chat line. It was a sex line. I was early 30s. And I'd started off, Drew, with marriage minded, and then I'm long-term relationship, casual dating. Next thing I know, I'm on this category, right. Intimate encounter. So it was wide open. I was sowing my oats. And what happened was there were minors on this adult-only chat line. It was called the Buddy System. So I met a few, if not several minors, but I had the filters where I did not have, any sex with them. And I, in fact, threatened to tell their parents, advise them, get off this line. This is not good, etc.
Well, you would almost think somebody that age being on something like that, they're pushed into it, maybe. I mean, why is this kid on this site?
Yeah, very, very, very possibly true. Some of these people could have been traffic victims, but in all honesty, it was. I grew up out in Edina. At this point, I was still in the Twin Cities, and again, now this was almost 30 years ago. But I went out and I met these. The females would all tell me they're of age, and then when I met some of them, and then I would say, I don't know, you don't look legal. Let me see some ID. There were times when they could not produce the ID, and the difference was I did not, follow through and abuse these minors. I would again try to counsel them. I would threaten to tell their parents. I don't think I ever actually did, but I decided to shut down the chat line to protect these minors. So I huffed and I puffed, Drew, on this telephone chat line called the Buddy System, saying I'm going to shut it down. And then finally, I had the chance to shut it down because Mike Mabee from KSTP Channel 5 News came out. If you go to YouTube and you look at What My Jury Never Saw, I urge everybody had any questions about my integrity or if I'm innocent like Joseph was in Genesis 39. Potiphar's wife pulls her cloak off and runs out in the street and says, Joseph raped me. No, he didn't. And then he became the governor of Egypt,
Right.
in the palm of God's hands.
Right.
So what happened was I realized that there were minors on this chat line. I finally had Mike Mabee come out and interview me, ironically, on March 5, 1998. That was my last actual day of freedom in America. Think of that, Drew. My last day of being free in this nation, me, running for governor now today, was on March 5th, 1998. And you will see that if you go to YouTube and search What My Jury Never Saw. Anyway, so after that interview where we're talking about fetal alcohol syndrome, where I am, again, in my who I am, I'm trying to protect the unborn baby from the gal that I'm dating at that time. It's not even my child, but she's been drinking and doing coke. And the system at that time, Drew, if you're doing cocaine, they will throw you in and get you some treatment and try to help the mother and the baby. But if it's alcohol, they're just, so that's why there was so much fetal alcohol. But my story with Gretchen Carlson, better Gretchen than Gretchen Whitmer. I'm trying to throw a little levity out here, but Gretchen Carlson is the first lady of Governor Arnie Carlson, a good guy, a real decent guy, Republican way back when. And anyway, so she had contacted the news and she had the clout, Drew, to get a story going on fetal alcohol syndrome. So anyway, that's me. That's who I am. I'm trying to protect the unborn child of a gal that I'm dating. And then at the very next day on March 6th, so I had my 28th anniversary yesterday, Drew. It was a gloomy, rainy day all day long. 28 years ago to the day on Friday, of all things, yesterday, on Friday, March 6, 1998, my life was changed forever when they crashed my door, SWAT teams, whatever, the police. And the police put me into the Hennepin County Attorney's office. Now it's Mary Moriarty's office. And then here's the punchline. Amy Jean Klobuchar's name is all over my briefs. She defended one of the nation's worst cases of wrongful conviction. I have all of the receipts, Drew, and for 27 years, I've been trying to get anybody to listen to me or help me. And, hopefully you're the first real big breakthrough for me here to get some publicity out on what has happened to me. It has been ungodly. I'm innocent. I'm caught between Moriarty and Ellison running for governor. And when I tell the voters that, they understand being caught between Mary Moriarty and Keith Ellison, Drew, and they want to know what my policies are and how I'm going to help them at the grocery store and how I'm going to help protect their children and empower them as parents against this insanity up here in Minnesota. Reps like Drew Finke that are pushing bills through in Democrat trifecta because we do not have a real Republican up here, not one. I'm the first real Republican in this state, I'd say, in 20 years.
That's awesome. Well, what do you think about, like Mr. Lindell, for example? Is it something, how far away do you think you are from him on, policy? What would be the first thing you do? Let's say everything turns around, you get elected governor. What is the first thing that you do to tackle the fraud in your state?
The first thing I'm going to do to tackle the fraud in the state? I would bring people in that are experts in this, a guy like Jim Nash, who is a Republican in Minnesota, but I don't know how to tackle the fraud myself. So I would bring in Jim Nash. This is a guy who's an expert in this. And then Jim and myself together would be able to deal with this. But what I would also say, Drew, is the problem is the people. And so what I would be doing is having a very vocal campaign as governor to have these people primaried from top to bottom, and we need to bring in new people that are honest, that you can trust. Right. So as governor, I'm somebody who is honest. I have never been accused of anything involving my honesty or my integrity. I'm a truthful person. I am honest. So the fraud would end, as far as I'm concerned, day one. I would have the right people in place, and I would personally be looking over every single one of these contracts, figuring out where every single last dollar went. It can't be that tough. If I'm able to budget myself, I can certainly budget where money is going. So there would have to be real transparency, and that would end day one.
I mean, you got to be able to track the funds, right?
People.
You got to be able to track the funds. But you got to be able to track the funds. There's guys
Absolutely,
forensic accountants that come in and can put that whole shit together for you in 10, probably
thank you.
24 hours.
Thank you. Yes. And the main thing is accountability, Drew. That's
Right.
the whole problem.
That's
On
huge.
both sides, they've allowed this for decades. So what has to happen, in my view, on day one, if I was not able to have these people arrested on day one, I guarantee you they'd be under criminal investigation day one. Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, Ilhan Omar, Tom Emmer, Lisa Damath, and then the speaker on the Republican side, Johnson. I think that would be a good start. So and then Mary Moriarty, of course. And then personally, I'd have John Choi. He's the Ramsey County attorney. I'd have him under criminal investigation as well. Because, Drew, one thing we have not talked about, I have five guilty pleas of a pattern of stalking. And one of the people is, of course, the state's accuser. And so how they got, how do you plead guilty, Tom, in America? I'll tell you how you can, Drew. I experienced it. They put me in the 6-point restraint chair, and they would surf me. And I'm not the only one. I saw dozens of poor black people, black guys. If you didn't have family and money, you were surfed in that Ramsey County jail. So unlike Jake Lang, Drew, he's in there. He's not in there long enough for even the bologna sandwich. A guy like Jake Lang has Trump funding him. People like Lindell. People like Mike Lindell have a lot of people around the country sending him money. Jake Lang has people all around the country sending him money. Nick Shirley, and then Nick Sorter. Isn't this, get this, Drew? Sorter comes up, right? And he does run his mouth a lot about the 68 IQ Somali. Oh, I think you're going to love this. He runs his mouth about the 68 IQ Somalis. President Trump can do no fucking wrong. He could come up here and have ICE kill the whole goddamn state up here. Sorter would be cheering him on. So here's what I think is really hilarious. Sorter comes up and he drives over into Somali Village. The two big towers. There's Cedar Riverside is what it is. I'm from here. I know some shit to do and some shit to do that's beyond fucking stupidity. Pardon my life. So here's what he does, Drew, if you've seen this one. He goes over there, and then according to Sorter, a 68 Somali woman outsmarts him, mugs him, grabs his phone his camera, his $1,000 camera, while he's trying to record these people. These people grab his shit, and then he gets out and confronts the woman, whatever. Next thing I know, he's being fucking dragged about a block, just like Jonathan Ross's ass was dragged, and they should have had him on the sidelines, Drew, in all seriousness. Instead, they put the ICE guy, Jonathan Ross, after an illegal had dragged his ass and he was injured, had to go to the hospital and stuff. They had him right back on the front lines by January. And I think when he seen Renee Good anywhere fucking near him, he decided to unholster instead of getting his ass out of the way. So that was, in my view, totally that was avoidable. The Renee Good murder was totally.
From what I understand about the Renee Good situation,
she's gone.
From what I understand about the Renee Good situation, President Trump took Kristi Noem's word on it. Didn't see the video, but reached out and said, "What the fuck was this?" Kristi Noem says to the president, "A domestic terrorist tried to run over." So the president then echoes what was said, and without seeing the video. And then he saw the video, and he goes, "Holy shit! I was lied to." And I was making statements about what she told me. Not to mention, you got the $200 million in advertising that she's spending. I think that's what got her fired. I mean,
yeah. That's what did get her fired is when he looked like shit. When Kennedy, absolutely, they cross-examined her ass.
Right.
No, you're exactly right. And frankly, that whole thing.
And he asked permission from the president to ask her that question. So she was on her way out anyway. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
And then people keep bringing up the Corey Lewandowski thing, and it's like, I mean, I heard about that back before Trump was even said he was going to run for president again. I knew they were fucking like years ago. It wasn't something new that I knew about. It was like the worst kept secret.
And the hypocrisy though from the the hypocrisy from the Democrats. Who knows who or even what they're fucking over on that side.
Right.
So you remember the Senate? There was some pederasty going on that was filled right in like the Senate. So it's a disgusting, I feel like I'm in Sodom and Gomorrah up here, Drew, in Minnesota.
I believe that, yeah.
It has been hard to find. It's been really a challenge to find I can't remember the exact scripture, but 10 Christians or whatever it is in the state. But I'm sure that I just need to get out a little bit more. But no, so it's been rough though. Imagine that. I'm the one person who, in my view, can absolutely win statewide. I'm pro cannabis, so number one, that brings in 20 to 30% more of the people that the Republicans are absolutely missing. The GOP, they need to get with it here, Drew. I hope that you would echo this in terms of, I'm talking about cannabis. They have
I agree. Yeah,
it's a lot of older white men that run the party. I mean, look at Congress. It's a lot of older white men, and I don't know. I'm just saying that in my opinion, to win statewide and for us to do well in the midterms, especially after this shitty ICE debacle up here in my state, in order for us to catch fire and win the midterms, I just think we need to, in my view, we need to really harness my public safety bill. If Drew, 60 to 64%, if that's what Elon Musk is saying, and that's his creation, not mine. Grok is not Tom Evenstad, that's Musk.
Right.
Grok is saying 60 to 64%. What the bill is, quickly, Drew, it expands civil commitment. I'm not sure if you're aware of this.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but Zoom is yelling at fuck. I lost him. All right. So we lost him. I apologize. I need to start paying for Zoom. I was going to tell him to make his last pitch. But, so that was our friend. He did great. I thought he was quite interesting. He had some great points, all of this. So I want to say this really quick. Europeans, this is the Europeans realizing that it is impossible to invade the United States. And they talk about it. And this video made me so patriotic. Check this one out here. This is crazy.
Suppose they somehow land. Now comes the real enemy. The continent itself. Deserts, mountains, swamps, snow. Every mile.
It is impossible.
It's crazy. Look, America, to be fair, I think we need to call America a continent. Calling this a country is weird because it's so big. They have desert, they have mountains, they have, snow, swamps. There is a bit of everything there. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Mile different, every region hostile. The Rockies slice the West in half. The Mississippi floods its plains. The Appalachians twist the east into endless ridges. Each barrier splits armies and burns fuel. Even U.S. convoys need weeks to cross in peace. In war, it'd be hopeless. The Great Plains look flat, but they're open exposure, nowhere to hide from drones or jets. The deserts kill engines with heat. The winters break them with ice. Nature doesn't just slow invaders, it starves them. No refuel points, no factories, no friendly locals. Every state line becomes another front, and that's before you count the 330 million people already living here.
And they have guns, right? Not all of them, but
I'm talking about.
So I guess there is 330 million. I thought it was a bit more actually, but let's say there is 300 million in America. There is more guns than that.
Hell yeah, there's more guns than that. There's a lot more guns than that, and they just found it out.
More guns than people.
More guns
Absolutely.
Than people. Good luck.
Of them armed. Here's something no invader wants to hear. America has more guns than people. 390 million firearms. 120
and
for every one.
Can use it.
Yeah. And I think even people that don't care about guns, or if there is an invasion, I think Americans would unite. Everyone basically would have a gun.
It's like, finally, I can use it.
No, but it's crazy.
I'm joking, guys.
No, I think it's true, actually.
Oh, my friend is getting dust.
No, but invading America is really, really difficult. It's really, really difficult, actually. Again, the entire world is such a crazy scenario. But for sure, if there is a country that you have doubts if it's possible, is this one. Canada, Portugal can invade Canada. I'm
100 citizens. That's not an army. That's 50 million potential militias.
This is
From
them
Maine
realizing
to Montana,
you're never
from
going to
Texas
fucking
to
invade the
Alaska,
United States.
every home could
You're
be a
never getting us.
stronghold. There are
Right.
15 million licensed hunters, more than most nations'
Yep.
militaries. That's why the Japanese Admiral Yamamoto supposedly said, "We could never invade America. Behind every blade of grass is a gun." Even if the
So that's them realizing, good luck ever fucking invading the United States. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. So this one here is interesting. This one here is, so this guy is an ex-CIA station chief, John Krakow. He was arrested for whistleblowing back in the day about the torturing that they were doing to people in the CIA during the whole in Afghanistan. But listen to this.
Jimmy
This is
Pockets
super
says,
interesting.
John, Iran are hitting the hotels and drones with drones and missiles. Do you think they are targeted attacks on individuals due to actionable intelligence or just random strikes? How good is Iranian intelligence? Cheers. Thanks, Jimmy. Iranian intelligence is not good. It's not at all good. It's never been good. And it's because they don't get good training. The Russians will help them out a little bit. The Chinese will help them out a little bit, but essentially they're on their own. They are indeed hitting hotels with drones and missiles, especially in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. They hit a hotel in Muscat a couple of days ago. They're doing this because it's the best they can do. And what they want to do is to affect the local economies, right? It's one thing if you fire a rocket or send drones to attack an American, military installation in Abu Dhabi or Dubai. Nobody's going to really care. But if you hit the Burj Al Arab, the big hotel that's in the shape of a sail, or you hit the Jumeirah Towers Hotel, where I was staying a week ago, by the way, you're going to affect the economy, and you're going to make people staying in those hotels leave the country. So that's the plan. These are not targeted attacks against individuals. They're random attacks, just trying to do as much damage as possible. Jimmy Pockets says, John,
I think it's great. I thought that was quite interesting because right now they're talking about how the Iranians are getting intelligence from Russia, which is stupid as shit. You'd think Putin would be smarter than that, but he started his own campaign calling everybody in the United States pedophiles. But I digress. We were just talking about it. Kristi Noem was fired. This is her being questioned by John Kennedy, like we talked about not too long ago. But in this one, you really get a sense for how bad the situation was with Kristi Noem, and it was more than just what happened.
How do
check
you
this out? And he got permission to ask this
square
question.
that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements that feature you prominently?
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America the right way. That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes. Before,
They did not have that conversation.
I was
the president never
put in this
authorized
position and sworn in and confirmed, and since then as well.
Okay. Did you bid out those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
And the people that you ended up picking were people who had formerly done your political work back in South Dakota. Is that right?
No, that's not correct, sir.
I think it is.
No, it's not, sir. The individuals who, I believe the careers who they chose were two different media firms. There's been conversation about their subcontractors, but we have no legal authority to look into subcontractors on work like that.
Okay. And you're saying that you're testifying that President Trump approved this ahead of time. Is that my understanding?
We had conversations about making sure that we were telling people.
No, ma'am. I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president
did not
do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
well, they were
overwhelmingly
effective in your name recognition. I mean, I personally just, I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot, and I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe, knowing the president, as I do, that you said, Mr. President, here's some ads I've cut, and I'm going to spend $220 million running them, that he would have agreed to that. I don't think Russ Vogt at OMB would have agreed to that. It's something we have to defend. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. My research shows that you did not bid them out, that you pick, in fact, one of the people you picked, the strategy group, Safe America Media was a company formed 11 days before you picked them, and that the strategy group got most of the money, and the head of that is married to your former spokesperson. Look, we all have friends who are qualified. I'm not quibbling with that. It troubles me. A fifth to a quarter of $1 billion of taxpayer money when we're scratching for every penny and we're fighting over rescission packages. I just can't agree with Madam Secretary. Are you still running those ads?
No, Senator, I did not have anything to do with picking those contractors. I know politicals at the Department of Homeland Security did.
I understand. Are you
Mayor
still running
officials
those
followed
ads?
the competitive bid process.
Are you still running those ads?
I think the ads are due to end here in March. I think within a week or two.
So
I'm not sure of the
running?
update. The one that is running is focusing on angel families. Have you seen that? It is the one that's talking about this is our why. This is why we work every day.
Okay.
Is for the angel
I've gotta
families
move
and their
on.
victims that need to.
So that was actually what got Kristi Noem fired. Senator Kennedy, asked the president if he could ask that question to her before he did. He knew that was not approved. She lied to Congress. And that is what ultimately led to it. It had nothing to do with the Corey Lewandowski thing. Everybody knew that they were fucking for a while. And overall, I actually think she did a pretty good job. But I digress. So Bernie Sanders tries to give a speech in Seattle, okay? This is fucking hilarious. He tries to give a speech in Seattle, and his own wacko lefties try to hijack his speech. And he just gets out of the way. This is so funny, dude.
Get him in check or we're shutting this event down. Now, if you do not listen to her, your event will be shut down right now. Right now. Your decision.
Why would his security even let anybody get that close?
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won,
we are going to let you on the mic. Okay.
These protesters just took over the whole thing.
We are trying to be reasonable. We are trying to be reasonable. We are trying to be
his
reasonable.
own people, his own supporters.
We're going to let you on the mic.
Look at these
We're going to give you the mic.
They must have a lot of boyfriends, I bet you do.
After Senator
This seems so
Sanders.
sweet.
After Senator Sanders. After Senator Sanders.
Do not tell me what to do.
After Senator Sanders.
Shut it down.
after Senator Sanders. Okay. All right.
Let her speak.
All right.
Let her speak.
All right. We're shutting it down.
Shut the fuck up, lady.
You are disrupting this
How do you
event.
let them on
You are
stage?
disrupting this
Where's the
event.
security? You don't let anybody get that close.
No, you are shutting it down. We are shutting.
Let her speak or we shut it down.
We will shut it down.
They
You
are
shutting
cancer
it down.
to everybody, including their own party.
You are. No. How long are you going to go? How long are you going to go?
How long are you going to go? Now they're capitulating to this person wanting to hijack the microphone from Bernie Sanders. This is insane. And they just took it. I mean, what the hell? Seriously, I mean, he's like a national figure. You would think security wouldn't even let people on stage. Somebody gets on stage, they should be tackled. I mean, he's a big name. He's a national name. I mean, are we kidding ourselves here? So, in Texas, we had a new face come out. We had some people lose in the primaries. We lost Dan Crenshaw, Eye Patch McCain, as we call him. He was a fucking piece of shit, and he used to insider trade. He made pro-Ukraine war for everything. Let's go send Ukraine another couple $2 billion. Can't imagine that's going to help. But he lost, and also Jasmine Crockett lost. You know, the very loud woman from, well, I'll let you decide. So he was beaten by this Tarico fella. Listen to this fucker. He is just as wild as the other ones.
Is both masculine.
He calls God non-binary.
Feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary. Is both masculine and feminine.
God is non-binary. Like, dude, that is the most blasphemous fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, are you kidding me? What the hell's the matter with you? But I digress. We have this video here. I wanted to show this because Democrats always said, no kings, no kings. And then all of a sudden, they just oppose everything that Donald Trump does. And now they're saying, don't go killing dictators. Well, I want to show you what Iran looked like before the Ayatollah took over their country and turned women into third-class citizens. Not even second-class citizens, third-class citizens. But look how beautiful these women are. And look how free they are. It's more like the West. You have women studying in schools, going to university. They don't have to cover their face. They look like the West. And then they came in and they imposed the Muslim Sharia law that made all these women have to cover their faces, not go to school anymore. And they started treating them not like second-class citizens. They treated these women worse than dogs. They killed women just for not covering their face because they could call them whores. But this video here shows this. Look at this. This is what Iran looked like prior to the Ayatollah that chanted death to America. And by the way, we want to say this. We apologize for Barack Obama. Feeling really bad for you that you lost your spiritual leader when the Iranian leader was killed. Sorry, Barack. So I digress. But this is what Iran looked like prior to 1979. It looked a lot like the West. Now, then you come in today, they're chanting death to America. They want to fucking... If you ask somebody in Iran prior to when Khomeini was killed, and you said it, they would say, we are at war with America. They always thought we were at war. The American consensus, they never figured it out. Donald Trump said, no more. You're not going to kill our people anymore. The thousands of men and women that the Ayatollah has killed. Americans and their own citizens. They mowed down their own people for standing up to their piece of shit Muslim government. Islam and the Muslim religion is not compatible with the West. It is not. It needs to be put aside and Americanized because it is not compatible with the West. And so I digress. This one here is the brilliance in the American firepower. This one here breaks down the operation of us going in and killing the worst
the
terrorist
Iranian air defenses failed to
in
activate.
the last 40 years.
Well, to put it simply, the U.S. military operates in a completely different league. Using a highly advanced mix of electronic warfare and cyber operations, coordinated from space to the ground, the coalition was able to inject false data directly into Iranian radar screens. Top-tier Iranian air defense systems, like their homegrown Baver and their Russian-supplied batteries, were absolutely overwhelmed by this electronic assault. But to actually hunt them down, the U.S. set a brilliant trap. They launched hundreds of ABM-160 MALDs, miniature air-launched decoys. To a panicked Iranian radar operator staring at a chaotic screen, these tiny drones look exactly like a massive squadron of F-15s or F-16s screaming toward the capital. With the door kicked wide open, 5th-generation stealth fighters, including both U.S. and Israeli F-35s with possible F-22 Raptors, sliced through the airspace completely undetected. Ultimately, the Iranian air defense network wasn't just suppressed, it was completely dismantled, at least for the time period. Because the Iranian do have a huge firepower, Tehran has fired back. In Operation Truthful Promise 4, a massive wave of missiles and drones just targeted U.S. bases in Israel. Here's the fallout. The UAE's Al Dhafar air base was hit, leaving one dead from shrapnel. In Bahrain, the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet HQ was directly targeted. At 9 in the morning, Israel launched more than a dozen aircraft, but it's a complicated process. They have to navigate or entirely bypass the airspace of neighboring countries like Syria and Iraq. To avoid hostile air defenses, defense analysts estimate the actual flight distance to reach central Iran is between 930 and 1,240 miles each way. Although these routes may seem straightforward, they involve complex planning, including calculations for air refueling and coordinating attack aircraft to pass through Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. Israel and U.S. strategy was to attack Iran in 3 waves.
Because
the first wave targeted surface air-to-air sites, radar installations, and Iran's air defense headquarters in Tehran, Elam, and Khuzestan. The second wave focused on destroying ballistic missiles, and finally, the third wave targeted military manufacturing industries, kicking down the door. The attack begins not with manned aircraft, but with robotic precision from the sea. The goal is simple: blind the enemy's eyes, their radars, and silence their voice, their command and control. In the Persian Gulf and the Northern Arabian Sea, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, ships like the USS Thomas Hudner, receive a launch order. The vertical launch system sells his open and momentarily. Dozens of Tomahawk land attack missiles erupt from the decks. These missiles fly at subsonic speeds, humming the terrain in what we call nap of the earth flight to stay below the radar horizon. They are programmed to loiter and strike simultaneously. Their warheads slam into S-300 and S-400 radar sites and command bunkers. They degrade the integrated air defense system, effectively carving out safe corridors for the pilots who are minutes behind them. 30 minutes past H hour. While the Tomahawks are still impacting, the silver bullets of the U.S. Air Force are already deep inside hostile airspace. These are the B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, with the air defense network fractured by Tomahawk cruise missiles, usually fired from destroyers hundreds of miles away. The path is now clear. Now comes the strategic sites like nuclear bunkers, which can be bombed by B-2 Spirit, the tip of the spear. Launching from bases in Jordan and the UAE, squadrons of F-15E Strike Eagles roar into the theater. These are the bomb trucks of the operation. Each F-15 is heavily laden with GDAMs and small-diameter bombs. Interestingly, it can carry up to 19 GDAMs or 28 small-diameter weapons. While the B-2s hit the deep bunkers, the F-15s hunt the little targets. Their AESA radars scan the ground for ballistic missile launchers hiding in valleys. Working in pairs, they drop precision bombs on missile convoys, hangars, and secondary command nodes. Once they are Winchester, out of ammo, or low on fuel, they don't go home yet. They connect to this tanker common launch tube that fits into almost any aircraft's existing fuel hatch. They retreat to those tanker tracks established in Phase 1, taking on thousands of pounds of jet fuel in midair before turning back for a second sortie. 2 hours past H hour. To sustain the pressure, the U.S. Navy's floating air bases enter the fight. Cruising in the Arabian Sea, a carrier strike group turns into the wind. Steam and electromagnetic catapults begin launching aircraft every 30 seconds. F-A-18 Super Hornets launch carrying anti-radiation missiles. Their job is DAD, destruction of enemy air defenses. They are hunting down any surviving radar operators foolish enough to turn their systems on. Meanwhile, F-35 Sea Lightning push forward to gather intelligence and strike high-threat targets that the older jets cannot reach. Orbiting far behind them are the E-2D Hawkeyes, the quarterbacks in the sky, managing the massive traffic of hundreds of U.S. jets. By sunrise, the first wave is over. The eyes of the enemy air defense have been blinded by Tomahawks.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't fuck with the United States of America. All brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue. They're fucking done. And you know what's funny is that I was watching this thing too, another Intel open source thing, and they never stood a chance, and they were just dumb as fuck. The Israelis, Pete Hegseth said that a capable partner is a good partner, and the intelligence from the Israelis is absolutely world class. They are the best of the best. We need zero space between Mossad and CIA. Because what they did, and this came out, is that Israel actually put spies, high-level dentists, that would do the fillings for all of the Ayatollah. And as they're filling their teeth, they would put trackers in their teeth. So these people knew exactly where all the targets were at all times, where they needed to hit, where they needed the most firepower to make sure these fuckers never got up. And then what they also did is that, and this is why you don't let in refugees, okay, is that during the Afghan war, there were 2 million Afghan refugees that migrated to Iran. And they were poor, they were broke, they were hungry. And the Mossad would come in and say, hey, I'll give you $20 a day if you tell me what building these high-level Ayatollah people are. And they'd say, okay, yep, they're in this building right here. And then they'd track them. And then they get in even deeper. They'd get more people to do it. So they have all of this intel. And not to mention you have the CIA on the ground that has been collecting intelligence since the Iran-Contra. They never stood a chance. Now, this one here, I think, is absolutely awesome. This is John Fetterman, the only Democrat that makes any sense these days. Listen to this one.
55 of them were killed, and I think they just blew up 80 of the randoms mullahs, too. Which, I mean, that was pretty great, actually. So, all right.
Senator, administration officials concluded...
And then comes in Lindsey Graham, who is just... He looked like he was about to jizz himself, fucking coming out there. Oh my God, we're at war with Iran. I hate that guy. I think he's a snake in the grass. But I'm going to leave you with this one. So I just was talking about refugees and all of this immigration stuff. Well, one of the countries that is really getting hit hard right now, and they are losing their culture, and they did not want to stand with the United States on Iran, against Iran, because they have so many Muslims that have moved and flocked to their country. And so they really have lost their religion. So this one here is a funny one I'm going to end with. But this is the new 007. Okay? This is the new 007 for the king. And no longer the queen, for the king.
James Bond has retired. Who is our new 007?
Your Majesty, we've selected someone who represents modern London.
Modern London.
Bond.
Sing Bond.
Oh, God. Oh, it's funny. Oh, my God. Okay. Well, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully it was fun and exciting and all of that. As always, go with God and pray for our troops. God bless our troops. God bless the United States of America. Remember, freedom comes from God, not from some fucking third world piece of shit Muslim country. Let's go, guys. God bless. Keep the faith. I love y'all. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.